So Too Close is my first feature documentary. It was filmed for 5 years almost in Romania, in rural Transylvania. And the core story of the film is a survival story of a mother and a daughter who try to rebuild their life, to make a new life for themselves after the little girl was abused by the woman's partner. And after the man was sent to jail, unfortunately, he comes out much sooner than expected, and the life of this little family basically turns upside down once again, and they need to find a way how to heal with the trauma in these circumstances that the man moved closely back to them, and with the fact that the little community does not believe them, but it blames them and bullies them because they spoke up that this happened. Yes, I met Andrea while working on a short film, and we maintained a friendly relationship. We communicated very well. We had the same love for movies, and one day she decided that she will tell me this story of her past, because both her and her daughter were in a period of their trauma healing where they already felt the need to talk about what happened in order to not keep silence, but also to help others who go through similar experiences. Because what they observed, that especially in this country, the rising number of cases is alarming. And in fact, Romania is in the top list of child abuse cases within Europe, and that is incredible that people have so little knowledge about that. So their sort of mission was to talk about that, and that basically the first discussion that we had, where she told me what happened, served as a catalyst to start thinking in storytelling. Well, it was a very intense process being with them, especially in this topic where there are so many things that a filmmaker needs to be very conscious and delicate about, how to approach the subject, through what point of view we tell the story, how it could affect them. So it was always a group process. Decisions were made not by me, but were made together by us, what was comfortable to them. So it was a relationship which was based on constant communication and taking care of each other and them especially, to not get over traumatized again. So basically that is why the story is told through their perspective and not through an outside perspective. I think that I managed to get close and inside the family because they wanted that. They wanted to tell the story. If they didn't have this very strong motivation, it would have been a wall, basically. But because they perceived me as someone who is very empathetic towards them, who resonates on the same level as them, and who wants to tell the same story as them, I think it became a very familiar relationship. And as I told, it was something based on communication. So it was basically a joint effort, and not like a separate filmmaker who has an intention and characters who are sort of not really knowing what happens. It was always a group process. So most of the time, because of the subject matter and because it was filmed through such a long period of time, it was mostly a very reduced team consisting of me. And when the scenes weren't as intimate with the family, or it were more outside scenes, that's where we had a smaller crew. And regarding the minors, the children, especially Bodio, the little boy, Andrea, it's actually one of the things that I admire in Andrea so much, that as a parent, she always shares the information with him according to his age. So the child isn't left in confusion, not knowing what is happening, or always being in a sense of tension because he obviously perceives that something is wrong, but he has that information with which he can work according to this age. And Andrea always makes those communication steps. So he's basically held in safety. Oh, well, approaching the village was a very different filmmaking process than filming with the family. It was a completely different method, and it was much more forward and intense because it wasn't observational, and I sort of needed to get out information of them, their thoughts, very unfiltered, how they think about my characters. So at one moment when I felt that I don't have enough people who spoke up, I went basically from house to house until I found the people who were willing to do that. Because off the record, everybody shared this opinion, like the majority shared this opinion, but it was much more difficult to capture that in sound or in camera. So I had to be much more forward, and luckily there were people who wanted to share these views of bullying and shaming, and they were actually quite content that they could do that and someone would listen to that, because I think the psychology of it is that they become validated. The village voice, the village choir that you hear through the film are real recordings with the villagers who live there. But we decided not to give faces to these people because the village is much larger than to how many people accepted to film with their face. And also because it was, I think, very, very to the point from the character's point of view, because the story is told through Andrea's perspective, and they always perceive the village as someone whispering or talking on the bus, or gossip which goes around. So that is why we decided that the village is going to be like a choir, like a Greek choir, making these statements and always being there at the back. I can put it in the context of striving for a new life, because I don't really dealing more with documentary than with fiction. I always what I love most about the stories and the topics that I approach is that people are in a life situation where you think that you cannot get out of that, or you cannot solve that, but there's always a little solution, a little door. It takes a little step to make, and help will come. And I think that is why I'm so fascinated by Andrea and Pirko and their story, because from their words, they often felt that this is death. You cannot get out of it. Life won't be the same anymore. And they still managed to fight through it and to find those little things which kept them going. And I think that was very inspirational for me. And that's why I wanted to tell the story, because I hope that it will inspire other people too, the way it inspired me. For me, a good life means not being alone and not giving up.